evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
I think everyone is finally happy because it's not the heat wave anymore, right? Yeah, I can see a lot of smiles over here. Yes. So welcome to meeting number 1324. The theme of today's meeting is positive thinking versus realistic thinking. I want a quick show of hands. How many of you believe that we should pick positive thinking first? And how many for realistic thinking? Both. Okay, there we go. I actually agree with you, ma'am. You know, positive thinking works in a lot of situations, especially when it comes to goals. So for example, if we aim really high, we will pretty much hit the moon, if not the stars. But when it comes to certain other situations, I have found that realistic thinking is a little more relevant there. For example, when you're looking at dealing with people, or you're looking at what can go wrong, it's best to avoid positive thinking in those situations and to go with realistic thinking. Now, before we proceed with the meeting, I would like all of you to keep a few things in mind. One, please don't get up and move around when a speaker is speaking on stage. You can move around when you hear an applause. Two, be mindful about what you say so that you don't hurt or offend others. And three, all of you, I want you to take your cell phones out and put them on silent. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to do that. Okay. Now in positive thinking, I think a lot of us used to have these really high goals when we were children. For example, how many of you wanted to be astronauts when you were children? Ah, okay. I wanted to be a paleontologist, and I'm a software engineer here. And we found out that we moved towards different career paths than we assumed we would go to when we were children. Now the next person to come up on stage thought that she would be a teacher when she picked her career. But she's chosen something completely different now. She works with an exhibition organization and she organizes exhibits. But I know although she is not officially a teacher, I personally have learned a lot from her. And as the president, I know that all of you have also learned quite a bit from her. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the person who has taught you quite something. Up, Club President Hannah Victoria.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shweta, for that lovely introduction.
A very good evening, my dear fellow Toastmasters and distinguished Toastmaster Francis Gama, and most welcome guests. I now declare meeting number 1324 as open. For the benefit of the guests, Toastmasters, as you may know, is a platform where you learn and practice public speaking skills. The Bangalore Toastmasters Club is one of India's largest clubs and is a community club. Here, we get to learn from the experiences of a student to a 72-year-old. During the break, if you would like to know more about Toastmasters, you can meet with the executive committee and we'll be more than happy to brief you about Toastmasters. May I now request our Secretary, Toastmaster Kirtana, to please present the minutes of the meeting 1323.
number 1323 themed "In the learning you teach and in the teaching you will learn." And the word of the day was chaperone, which means support or companionship. The meeting was started on time, that is 6:30 p.m. by our Sergeant at Arms Toastmaster Chaitra with her enthusiasm, followed by our President's speech leaving us inspired. And the meeting was then taken control by our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Shreyas J, who made sure each segment was bound together with such ease and her high energy. We had 3 speakers, Toastmasters Harish, Suma and Raghavendra, who were evaluated by Toastmasters Pratik, Vivek and Nazni respectively. And we had a networking break for 10 minutes, and we also got to relish the delicious snacks sent by our Toastmaster Sureka. Thank you, Toastmaster Sureka. And later, after the break, we had the stage which was set on fire by Toastmaster, Table Topic Master, Toastmaster Vaidyanathan, who proved that he is the master of the table topic session for sure through his witty topics. We had the general evaluation session conducted by our area director, Toastmaster Saurabh Datta, who served us breakfast with also dessert with his brilliant evaluation. He was helped by the Tiger team, Toastmasters Lokesh, Kaushal, Shashank and Nagesh. The awardees of the meeting were as follows: for the best Tiger player, Toastmaster Shashank, and for the best role taker, Toastmaster Vaidyanathan. For table topic speakers, we had a tie by TM Varsha B and a guest, Arun. And for best table topic, for the evaluator, Toastmasters Vivek, and for speaker, Toastmaster Harish. The total attendees were 40, 21 were members and 19 were guests. The meeting ended by 8:35 p.m. Back to you.
Any amendments to the minutes of the meeting presented? I now stand to pass minutes of the meeting 1323. During the week, I happened to travel with a colleague of mine to Hosur. And while we were traveling, he just mentioned an episode in his life. He said, "My sisters made a lot of fun of me when I was getting married." So I was puzzled. So I asked him why. So he said, when he was growing up, he was very descriptive about the girl he's going to marry. And he wanted to marry a girl just like Hema Malini. And so when the matchmaking started, when he started meeting prospective brides, he said he agreed to a girl who he thought he would be most compatible with. So I thought that was a great example of positive thinking versus realistic thinking. And this also struck a chord with me, that how when we are Toastmasters, every little episode or every little information we get, we register it so that we can tell others about it. Another instance I would give you from my life. Several years ago, I was leading a project, an exhibition on commercial vehicles. This was in Dubai. And several months, we have a lead time of more than a year. So we had booked 2 halls in the World Trade Center. And it was going well because it was the 2nd edition. 2 months before the exhibition, 1 hall was already sold out and the 2nd hall we were just opening to sell. 2 months before the show, we came to know that Dubai won the bid to organize a World Congress for public transport, which is more or less related to commercial vehicles. The management then approached and asked me, "Are you confident of selling the 2nd hall?" I always had the thought that yes, the 2nd hall will sell because the data was there with me. I had prospects, I had hot, cold, everything. The figures were all matching. So I stuck on to the fact that no, we will sell the hall. no need to reduce the space. 1 month before the show, we sold out only 80% of the exhibition space, and that didn't go well. Didn't go well with my management because they had to pay for that entire space. So, though I had positive thinking, it was great that I had a big goal, but then when we realized that 2 months before the show, it may not work, I should have re-strategized. So thoughts, be it realistic, positive, are thoughts. But couple that with action is what will make the difference. Now I'd like to introduce to you the education session speaker. It is a privilege to introduce to you a distinguished Toastmaster. He's been in our fraternity since 1994. He has co-founded the Smedley Speaker Society in 2005. He's pursuing his second DTM, which he will get in 2 months' time. He was the runner-up at the Tri-District Conference in Sri Lanka in 2006. He's a trainer by profession and passion. He's a proud full-time grandfather, a part Toastmaster, trainer, and loves traveling. His session is titled Where Eagles Dare. And he says he'll speak to us on the professional edge a Toastmaster can bring to the workplace. Please join me to welcome DTM Francis Gama to the stage.
Will I be obstructing the view, right? Can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes.
That's standing. That will be better. There are some pictures which are probably worth listening to. Thank you very much for that introduction, Anna Victoria. That was one of the finest introductions, I must say the second best introduction I ever had in my life. Now you wonder which is the best one. The best one happened recently. I had to do a session, something similar to this little larger audience. And there was a very pretty girl, not as pretty as Anna, down a lot of pages of information about me. I was expecting a great introduction. The moment came for her to introduce me, and I'm looking forward to her coming on stage. Waited and waited, she didn't turn up. I had to introduce myself. That's the best introduction. Another thing she didn't tell you, or I didn't tell you, was the fact that I, not many years ago, taught at a college called Baldwin College. And you can understand what happens when you teach in colleges like this. It's a pleasure to be here at Bangalore Toastmasters Club. This is, I must say, one of the most celebrated clubs. If I remember right, it was the third or the fourth club to be started in the country. But today it is surely the other two have died. The first is still alive. The second oldest club.
Third to be started.
Third to be started.
Second oldest.
Simply Toastmasters was.
Right.
And it's such an honor to be here with the celebrated folks like Mr. Robinson and of course Rajdeep Manwani. They are old, we are all old friends. They are old and I'm the friend. That was a lighter end, don't take me seriously. Even if you take, I don't mind. Friends, here I am, and you will get a comment. Who is managing this life? Okay, I will give you a comment. There's at least this guy called Murphy, some Murphy, says if things should go wrong, they will or they already have. So you should be prepared. But for some reason I was not thought I'd prepare for this talk today because I had a busy week, but then today something major landed and I could not prepare. So I'm going to depend a lot on my memory that I spent time preparing for this month ago. And for some reason, my computer crashed. I'm depending on another computer which is not mine. As the name suggests, a crack team of Allied soldiers dared an act of rescue in the Second World War on these high, craggy mountains. There was an American brigadier general who was held captive here, and they had to pull him out. One lieutenant and another major landed in this place in disguise as Nazis, and with the help of other locals from there who helped them, they managed to get onto this particular venue, which they say only eagles can dare enter. This is the very name of a very old movie and a story of a very old movie which oldies like me celebrate and also youngsters like you will enjoy, because this is one of the finest movies, I would say, ever made in the history of movies. Like rescues that happened in this movie, rescues happen even today. In the recent past, we saw the war. We are looking at Ukraine, and this is probably a photograph of those people who were rescued out there. There are many other rescue operations that are happening across the globe, in different places, in different situations. It need not be war, but different situations in different places that it happens. And one of the sure places that this happens is when it comes to this whole fear of public speaking. People need to be rescued. People need to be rescued from this high, craggy, treacherous mountains, from where people look down and see this great abyss of enigmatic audiences. And this is where people like you and me need to dare to rescue people who live in dread. While we talk about this whole topic of being eagles, which I'll come to soon, I was asked to prepare a talk some time ago, and I'm just presenting this to you again. How we as Toastmasters can be effective in a place where we are expected to be professionals. How can Toastmasters help being a professional? And in this light, I said we need to look at what is a professional. There's a B, thank you. B blinds it out. You have a B? It's B, the letter B. Thank you. Who's a professional? A professional is a person who earns a living by conducting activities which require a lot of education, skill, and training. That's a very plain and simple definition. B again. Here's a little complex definition which I don't want you to look at and read. I just wanted to see that it's complex. If you look at this definition, it says that a professional is not a very, very easy person to be. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry and Mary cannot call himself or herself a professional. If you think you're a professional, I'd like you to think again. Now, who really is a professional? If I go back to a few years ago, that is in my days, just 4 kinds of people were called to be professionals. Doctors, engineers, lawyers, and accountants. Not a teacher, not a programmer. This picture on the net gave me teacher and programmer, but they are not necessarily professionals. These are 4 people. Why? Because they had to study a particular subject, they had to make certain promises, they had to take an oath, and they had to live up to it. Whether they would or not is a different question. But the fact is, these are people who are defined to be a professional. So in this light, friends, I don't want us to take it lightly when we call ourselves professionals. I'm not saying that a teacher is not a professional. A teacher can be a much more professional person than a doctor, or a lawyer, or an engineer, or anybody, because we don't know whether they live up to it. In fact, somebody told me 95% of the lawyers give the rest a bad name. Sorry, 99% of the lawyers give the rest a bad name. I hope you got what I said. Okay. I know there are some lawyers here, and they are part of that 1%. Friends, I believe that we are professionals, and as this slide says, a true professional is definitely a true leader. An eagle is a favorite bird of mine, and I've enjoyed an eagle from the time I was probably 17 years old. And I've used the theme of an eagle everywhere in my life, whether I conducted training programs, whether I conducted festivals, or whatever it was. My life revolves around eagles. I have a couple of eagles lying in my house, not lying on statues. And I love them. And I'm building a house, and I imagine pictures, huge pictures of eagles in my house. And every time I see the picture of an eagle, my heart skips a beat. And I've learned a lot about the eagle, and I'm sharing what I've learned, but I also discovered that a lot of stuff which I'm going to talk about may be available on the net, but it may not be the stories that I may get to tell you. Because these are things I learned way back in the late 70s or early 80s. An eagle is thought of to be the king of birds. And from this king of birds, we get to learn a lot about being a leader, being a classic leader, because this bird is amazing. And if you go deep into the life of an eagle, there's a lot to learn. Toastmasters has a slogan, and the slogan of Toastmasters is, where leaders are needed. Actually, friends, this organization is designed to build leaders, to develop leaders. Well, that comes with what they call as conditions of life. And the condition is, if you make you a leader, if you want to be a leader. You find a lot of leaders in this organization who are not worth calling themselves leaders. But that doesn't mean to say that we don't have leaders. Oh, we have amazing leaders, and here you have one, definitely. And I'm sure, I don't know all the others yet. Last week was definitely a leader because he is, each one of us have the opportunity, and here are classical examples. I'm sure there are many others who might not know are leaders. And I'd like us to look at what this whole thing is all about and answer this question. How can I be effective as a professional having the title of Toastmasters? How can Toastmasters make me effective as a professional in my professional world, in my corporate world, or any world that I live in? Let's answer this question. The question is, how can I be effective? And there is just one answer. And the answer is, Toastmasters gives you an environment. That's all it gives. It gives you an environment. It's like a vestibule training that they talk about. You're put into a situation where you experience all that you can experience that needs to be experienced. But the training that Toastmasters gives you is something that you can take anywhere. Because in management, we learn one thing about leadership. Leadership principles are the same everywhere you go. And leadership principles can apply wherever you go, in any situation, in any circumstance, in any type of organization. So I'm going to share with you what little I've learned about how an eagle You can go back. The first point that I'd like to share with you about an eagle is an eagle flies very high. Because an eagle flies very high, it does not have any predators close to it. And from the height that it travels, they say it flies at a height of about 10,000 feet. And there's no other bird that flies close by. And if you find another bird flying close to it, it should be another eagle. It can't be another bird. Friends, a good leader is somebody who has to fly high. He is set apart. He is way above many other people who are mere crows, kites, who can just flap their wings and not soar and not glide. Toastmasters teaches us to think high, to look high. Friends, in this organization, you can start as a sergeant at arms, and you can grow step by step, or you can jump to be the president. And from being the president, you can go into the district, into various roles. You can become the district director, which is a celebrated position to have. Then we also have examples in our country, in our midst, and probably some of us have met some of these people who could become international presidents, Toastmasters. Friends, what we learn in leadership in this organization is something that I believe we can apply anywhere in the world, because management principles are the same, like I said earlier. And Toastmasters gives us the opportunity to fly high. I believe we can apply these principles, and many of us are probably doing that. The second thing that I learned about an eagle is an eagle has a great vision. Because we fly high, vision is definitely high, and you see a lot. An eagle not only sees a lot, it also sees very fine. They say it has a very sharp eye. It can see the smallest of things. They say if you have an eagle's eye, you could probably identify an ant from a 10-story building. That's how an eagle's eye is. Now, an eagle being a bird that flies so high, does not prey after rats and rodents. Sometimes may prey over rabbits, but an eagle is also, I will define, that kind that you see every now and then in college. An eagle is a beautiful bird. When it spreads its wings, it can actually stretch to about 14 feet. That's a huge animal. And an eagle doesn't prey after these small animals, but an eagle aims for goats on the hillside, fish from the big sea, and you can take a nose slides. And these are the kind of things that vision of a goat can bring, an eagle can bring in our life. And Toastmasters helps us to have a great vision. It helps you to look at yourself as a better person. Why? It gives you mentors, it gives you people who you can look at, and makes you a better visionary. And Toastmasters, like good leaders are, have opportunity to have a great vision. And Toastmasters can really help us there as professionals to see great visions of what we can do and what we can be to this world and the people around us. Next I have is the third point. An eagle displays great confidence. You see this eagle here is flying over a storm. Like most animals do, a crow or any other bird or a dog or a puppy, when there is a rain, when there is thunder and lightning, they scamper and they run into their holes and their nests. They say kaka, kiki, and run into their nests. And I'm told that when there is going to be a storm, an eagle shakes its wings, it comes and sits on those high craggy mountains and speaks to the storm. Hey storm, where were you? Been waiting for you for a long time. They say the eagle rides the storm. Friends, you and I, when we are walking on the road, there's a guy coming there and there's a problem. What do? We run to the other side of the road. We run away from the problem, or we run aside from the problem, and we go somewhere else. But a leader meets a problem head on. That's in Toastmasters too. We are taught to meet with people, to collaborate with people, and to work with people, different kinds of people, meet people of different walks of life. And there is a sense of camaraderie that we see in this organization. And this sense of camaraderie develops within us a great sense of confidence. One of the first things that we shed when we come into Toastmasters is that word F-E-A-R. Some of you may know the expansion. There are many expansions for this word, acronym F-E-A-R. One of them that I like very much is by Zig Ziglar, where he says, false evidences appearing real. I like that the most. Fearless evidences which are false, they appear real. Toastmasters helps us to shed the greatest fear in the world. And when we shed the greatest fear in the world, it's easy to take anything else. And that's what we can do when we are at the workplace as professionals. The next point that I have is an eagle takes care. One of the most beautiful things about an eagle is, of course, any mother must be doing this. We saw this on Mother's Day, a chicken and a cock and a hen eating some rice. And the cock is just eating all the rice, but the mother hen picks some rice, drops it on the floor for the chicks. They say this is why we celebrate Mother's Day. Well, an eagle, I don't know if it's male or female, but an eagle takes care of its chick. It brings some choicest meats and feed the little babies. Yes, that's true of all mothers, but what does an eagle do? There's one thing that an eagle does that takes care of the kids, and this is when it grows a little older, and when the mother recognizes that the wings are a little strong, what it does, one morning the mother eagle comes to the nest and starts breaking the nest. And the little baby starts saying, "What's wrong with mommy? Is she gone crazy? Is she gone mad?" And she's still breaking it, and she's breaking it. And then what she does, when the nest is broken, she nudges the chicks close to the edge of the mountain, and when it goes to the edge of the mountain, it just drops it down. And the baby is saying, "Mommy, you're dying, what did you push you, what did you say, mommy, you're hopeless, mommy, you're..." And the mama waits for a little while, and when she sees that this birdie is not using its wings, swoops down and picks it up on its back and brings it back to the top of the mountain, only to push it back again. Friends, in Toastmasters, good leaders are that way. And in Toastmasters, we have this beautiful relationship between a mentor and a protege. And all of us have the opportunity today with pathways to become a mentor. We are expected to be a mentor. Mentoring is not a choice, it is a necessity in Toastmasters. All of us can be mentors. You can be my mentor. Toastmasters gives you this opportunity. I've allowed my juniors, my prodigies to be my mentors. I asked them, mentor my speech. Mentor me in this particular activity. I think this is a beautiful opportunity that Toastmasters gives us. And this is something that we can carry back to the workplace and try at our workplace. Friends, lastly I have, you can go back to the picture. That was the mother trying to break the nest. That is, I imagine so. An eagle is resilient. Here's a story I'm going to tell you which is not scientifically true. But I'd like to still tell you the story. When I first heard the story in 2002, I said, "Wow, what a story, amazing." But many years later, studied the eagle, realize the story is not necessarily true. They say that an eagle can live for about 70 years, not true. Okay, that's a story. Okay, and to live for 70 years, at 40, when the eagle's beak goes weak and its talons, don't grip anymore, and its feathers are sagging and weathered, the eagle has to take some time off, take a retreat. It has to go away separately and stay away from everyone for some time. And while it does this, it slowly pulls out every feather in its body and it becomes bare, naked, becomes a dressed eagle. They say in the process of doing this, the beak becomes weaker and it falls off. And the talons fall off. And while it stays there waiting for some time, they say it rejuvenates itself. It brings back its youth. It's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. It comes back again to life. Not a true story, but a beautiful story. It's a nice story. True story. I think the eagle must be otherwise also resilient in different ways. Friends, a leader is somebody who is resilient. He does not, he may fall down. He can fall down like any other human being. But what is beautiful about a leader is he rises up and he's ready to run all over again. And you see those runners on the racetrack. He falls down, he rises, and he runs again, and completes the race, even if he doesn't win. This is the character of a leader. Toastmasters offers us 1,000 ways in which we can come back to new life, experience new things in life. And this happens particularly with what we see as pathways, or 11 pathways, which you can take a lifetime to do. I know some people do it in a year or 2 or 3 or a little more. It took me many years to do my first BTM. The second one a little faster. But friends, this is a lifetime of opportunity you can visit and revisit. And I tell you, I have been in Toastmasters for quite a long time, almost 88 years. I'm tired of this organization. And I think that great lady who said what she said it with a lot of passion because she experienced it. She is Eleanor Roosevelt, and this is what she said. If you can get out of Toastmasters, what you can get out of Toastmasters, you never can get out of Toastmasters. I think it must have taken a real genius out of her to understand and explore Toastmasters, to get out of Toastmasters. Got out of Toastmasters. The next screen will show you that these are the various opportunities. Those only 10 pathways, it's an old screen, but there are 11. It's 11 pathways, 50 plus projects. It says here 5 core competencies. This is just the educational route. The leadership route is different. The experiences that we have is phenomenal. Friends, I would say that Toastmasters has a lot to offer us. And as Toastmasters, you can definitely be a leader at the workplace. And being a leader of the workplace is what Toastmasters equips each one of us for. Not just in the workplace, life. You must be a leader in the house. You must be a leader in the neighborhood. You need to be a leader wherever you go. But friends, whether you want to be a leader or not, you have to decide. Because Toastmasters offers you not just the certification, but an ability to be one. I must close by quoting these words by Helen Blanchard, if you did not hear me for a second time. If you can get out of Toastmasters, what you can get out of Toastmasters, you never can get out of Toastmasters. On to you.
Thank you so much, TM Gama, for that wonderful education session.
It was a much needed and a much warranted session to give us a glimpse of what Toastmasters is all about. And with respect to the video which you mentioned about the hens picking up, feeding the younger ones, I grow chickens, so I would give you the fact that the male, the cock, is most protective. He will ensure all the hens, especially his hens, will eat first before he eats. So with that, I'd like to give a huge round of applause to TM Francis Gama for that wonderful. To take the meeting forward is a very interesting lady. Her appearance always fascinates me. She's one enthusiastic Toastmaster. Any role you give her, she will do it with utmost sincerity. I like the way when I introduce the TMOD, most eyes go to the board to see who I'm talking about. The TMOD, she's a mother of two. She has been a teacher and then moved into software line. She's been mentored by Toastmaster Robinson D'Souza. So please join me to welcome Toastmaster Nazneen Begum.
Goes under the floor. We are superstitious. A cat shouldn't cross the path. We stop and then make sure someone else crosses the path. What is this? Nothing but being superstitious. Good evening, Toastmasters.
Good evening.
You can do better than that.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. What day is today?
Friday.
And what? Yes, Friday the 13th. So, how many of you have this Triskaphobia about the number 13? How many of you? You can express yourself. Okay, only one. So, we are the brave hearts. Can we have a round of applause to Bangalore Toastmasters? Today, my son had his board exams and it was chemistry. I asked him, son, are you afraid of the Friday the 13th? He said, Mom, are you afraid? I said, I don't give a damn. So, it was like, if you are not bothered about it, why should I? I said, what about the marks? What are you going to do? So he said, Friday the 13th is just in our minds. That's it. Otherwise, what happens is, what crap I'm going to write, and the person who's going to actually, read my paper and correct my paper. So if that person is really in a good mood, I'll get good marks. Otherwise, it's okay. I can't help it. Now, Toastmasters was started by Sir Ralph C. Smedley, and the first meeting was in the year 1924, October 22nd. Can you believe it? And our club is an actual, the proof that for 25 years we have survived, where nowadays, within 2 or 3 years, the clubs just closed down. With 3,64 members and in 145 plus countries, with 1,62,000 member clubs. Toastmasters, we believe that it gives us the confidence to speak in public. And definitely, just like the stone, which actually is carved and rubbed and polished, and it shines bright like a diamond. The same way, how many Toastmasters from Bangalore Toastmasters are shining out there with leadership qualities and proving that Bangalore Toastmasters is the best in the whole world, not only in India. Can we have a big round of applause? A typical Toastmasters meeting has 3 sessions. First session is better speaking, that is the bad speeches. The second session is better listening. Sorry, it is better reading. Listening, that's right. So, that is what table talks. And the last session is listening and reading. That is evaluation and breakfast for the leaders. Today, we have amongst ourselves a general evaluator. We will not disclose the name of the general evaluator. He or she has already started taking down notes the time you have entered into the Loyola Hall. So be aware that everything has been recorded. He will be assisted or she will be assisted by the Tiger team and personal evaluators. I would now like to request the Tiger team, that is the timer, to spell out his Toastmaster caution.
As a timer, it's my duty to time and record the duration of the entire meeting and its individual parts. For today's meeting, the speeches are 5 to 7 minutes in duration. At 5 minutes, I will hold up the green card. 6 minutes, I will hold up the yellow card. And at 7 minutes, I will hold up the red card. At the end of the meeting, I will give my report to the general evaluator and I will submit it to the club secretary in order to become a part of the permanent record. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Now we have the counter Toastmaster Shashank.
Good evening, Toastmasters and most welcome guests.
Good evening.
I think around 10 years back when I was studying, there was a teacher who used the word okay at the end of every sentence. More than listening to his speech, we sat and put tally marks as to how many times he used the word okay. We even had the courage to tell him after the class that sir used the word okay 157 times in 1 hour's class. he didn't take offense. He told us that, good you pointed out, we'll improve from it. This is my role for today. The R counter, I'll be listening to all the speakers. I'll make a note of all the crutch words used, like I, and, so. I'll also make a note of all the cosmic sounds like I'll present my report at the end of the session when called upon. Thank you.
The grammarian for today to explain his offer.
As grammarian, I will be looking at the good usages that's happening, the not so good usages. We'll be listening keenly to the speakers, all role takers, and the word of the day for today is fastidious. It means very attentive to or concerned about the accuracy and detail. If I use the word in a sentence, prepared speakers prepare the speeches in a fastidious way to go along with the project guidelines. So I have already started noting down, and I'll come with my report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you so much. Now I call upon the listener for today, Toastmaster.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
My name is Sitaram, and this is my first session as a member. So my role is that of a listener, and as a listener, I will be listening and posing certain questions at the end of the session.
Positive thinking or optimistic thinkers feel that there is good in any situation. It has a great impact on your physical as well as mental health. Realistic beliefs, they are very cautious. They think about the total well-being of an individual. Realistic belief is done in a demonstrated way. How? They have a formula. They see if the demonstrated role has any benefits, then they go for it. But, however, I believe that we at Bangalore Toastmasters, let us be positive and approach realistically. What do you say? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Can you do, I'm hard at listening. Can you speak out a little bit louder?
Yes.
Thank you so much. So, remember the G for today has an eagle's eye. He or she is noting down everything what is happening during the meeting. Further, now we enter the speech session. That is the first speaker. Before I introduce the first speaker, I would request the evaluator for the first speaker, Toastmaster Suma, to read out the guidelines for the first speaker.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. First speaker is attempting pathway, dynamic leadership, effective elective level 3, connect with storytelling. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. Timer
drama. Can we have a round of applause for the first speaker, Toastmaster Johnson Bruno.
It was the last week of December in 2012. We were on a trip to a place called Kundapur to attend my friend's wedding. 8 of us boarded the bus at 10 o'clock. We were all chit-chatting, discussing about what happened last year, all the trips that we had gone earlier. We did not know how the time flew by. But the bus had a different plan. It came to a grinding halt at Nelabangala, around 30 kilometers from Bangalore. It was around 11:30 p.m. The driver and the conductor came to us and said, "Hey, you have to deboard the bus. You have to fix it." We were not worried because we were not getting married. Someone else was getting married. So we were going there to attend his wedding. So we got off the bus. Then we wanted to spend some time. We gave the contact numbers to the driver and we headed out. At a distance, we saw some roadside eateries. We were not hungry, but we wanted to spend some time. So we went to that place. To our amazement, we were very happy because they also served booze. Of course, illegally. Out of 8 of us, 5 of us had tea and soft drinks. 3 of us had whiskey. I was one among them. And we continued our chit-chat for next 2 hours. At around 1 o'clock, 1 a.m., we got a call from the driver. "Hey, come back." We all went back to the same place. Then we saw a new bus. It was a replacement bus with a lesser capacity. Our luggage was kept on the ground and our folks went inside and checked, okay, where can we sit? It could accommodate everyone from the previous bus, but just 8 of us. So, the people who had consumed tea and soft drinks started abusing the driver, the conductor and everybody. So badly that nobody from the bus got down and inquired, "Hey, come on, yeah, you guys can leave, you can go." Nobody had the guts. This went on for next 2 hours. These 5 of us, these 5 people who had done tea and soft drinks, woke up the guy who had recommended that bus. Also, one more friend who had volunteered to book tickets for us. Both of them took one oath on that particular midnight. Never to book tickets for others and never to recommend a bus. This altercation with the driver and the conductor went on till 3 in the morning. 3 of us who had consumed whiskey kept quiet because we knew we were drunk. But that Friday night on a December made us sober. After 3 years, we were like, okay, fine, now we'll take charge of this. The kinds of words these people used to abuse these drivers, who were not in any mood to listen to what they had to say. So it was like 5 TV debates going parallelly, and nobody was listening to anyone. At the end, I realized, okay, let me take charge of this place. I went and spoke to the driver, asked him, "Hey, what is this?" Then he was very calm and quiet. He said, "No, sir, there is one more bus. All we have to do is we have to go to a different place to board the bus." Then he said, "Why didn't you tell us this before?" "Yeah, but your guys, they never let us speak." I was trying to manage the situation and speak to all these guys, convince them, okay, let's let the bus go. Let's go to this different place, board the bus and go to Kundapur. Nobody was listening. At that time, one girl on the bus got down. She was a small kid, maybe in her early 20s, frail. She came up to me, looked straight into my eyes and said, "Brother, why are you holding us for ransom?" It touched my heart. I realized, yeah, it makes sense. Then I let the bus go. Nobody questioned but my friend Nagaraj. This Nagaraj is a very small guy. Okay, whenever I and Nagaraj go together, everybody calls us Lauren and Hardy because of the size. This guy came up to me. Let me quote in Kannada. Hey, you are going to say now. Yara urgi mon kalagal gudlo. You bus calls put Hey, this happened in front of you. It's okay. Then I had to convince the Nagaraj. Come on, let's go. Then after that, after convincing Nagaraj, we were able to let the bus go. Means the bus already went, and we reached other place. Actually, there was a bus waiting for us, but we were not in any mood to listen to those guys. We boarded the bus around 5 in the morning, non-stop from there all the way to Kundapur. We had the liberty to stop the bus wherever we wanted because we were just 6 or 8 of us in the bus, plus the driver and conductor. When this happened, the updates, our groom got the updates, what really happened. He made sure that there is enough food for 8 of us at the Kalyana Mandapa. We reached the Kalyana Mandapa at 4 in the evening. Filthy, no sleep. The servers and those who were waiting for caterers were waiting for us to, they were waiting for us so that we could come and eat. They gave us a very, kind of look. We ate. Then after that, from there we went to a beach, close by beach. And 7 o'clock was the reception. And our groom, he had a plan. Hey, why don't you guys go and eat first? Then come back to come and wish me. I said, fine, let's do that. So went straight to the dining hall again. We were there 3 hours ago. And again the same batch. We were the first ones to eat. We ate the food. It was good. Then after that we went and wished the newly coupled. Then we boarded the night bus and headed back to Bangalore. What I learned from this particular incident, the first thing is, it is not the alcohol that makes you speak. If you're in a mob, the mob mentality is like, you have 3 or 4 guys talking all nonsense. You can stop a bus. You can be in a mood not to listen to anyone. So this thing happened. Then the next one is, I learned that a lady who we feel, okay, she is maybe helpless or afraid, she may come and take charge and give advice to the people, okay, say this is not the right thing to do the right thing. So with that, I learned a couple of lessons from this, and my time is over, so back to
Thank you, Toastmaster. It's great listening and the lessons learned definitely will carry forward. The next speaker for today is, before introducing the speaker, I would like to introduce the evaluator, personal evaluator for this speaker, Toastmaster Raghavendra. Can you read out the guidelines?
The speaker is attempting a speech from past dynamic leadership, level 3, using humor. The purpose of the project is to begin developing a collection of humorous stories and present a speech that includes humor. Timer, please note that speech length is 5 to 7 minutes, and the title of the speech is Ha 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 Ha. Wishing very best to the speaker. Over to you, Timon.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Raghavendra. The speaker is a professional lawyer, student. He has published 3 books and likes to experiment new things. Our counter, remember, just note down that the title of the speech is no filler words. It's just the title. The title of the speech is Ah Ha Ha. Since it's humor, can we welcome on stage Toastmaster TM Shreyas.
Quite a short intro, but wow, it's beautiful to be back in a Bangalore city. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. I was at school a couple of years back, like most of us, and in school, I studied in Bishop Cotton's, and so those of you who studied there will know that it's a Christian school, and we have our daily devotions and our prayers, and a couple of newspaper articles to be read out, and a few jokes. So I was in my 10th grade, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to contribute to any of it outside. Let me try jokes. Okay, and I gave my name. I was so excited that I'm going to try jokes out that I didn't prepare for it. And on that day, they called my name like Shreyas J, get on stage, and like I find myself now, there's an audience staring at me, but it is just not a group or a room full of people, but it was the entire school was looking at me and saying that, yeah, you're going to hear some jokes from a school kid, and I didn't prepare for it. And the first joke was so funny, okay, that I've never heard silence this loud, okay. And it took me time. I'm like, hey, such a bad experience, and nobody laughed. The entire school saw it, and it took me 7 years to be back on a stage to try humor. I think that takes a bit of courage. Yeah. Yeah, and our Toastmaster of the day, Nazneen, very beautifully introduced me. Thank you so much. And she was texting me last evening and saying that, hey, Shreyas Johan, can you please tell us about your speech project, etc., etc. And I said, yeah, sure. I said, I'm a bit nervous. It's been 7 years. I've been trying comedy. And she's like, oh yeah, nice. She's like, Shreyas, do you know what tomorrow is? I'm like, it's a Friday. She's like, no. It's Friday the 13th. I'm like, Friday the 13th was in. I'm like, oh no, it's a nervous Friday evening and it's Friday the 13th. But yeah, since we're all talking about school and cottons, and school was fun. Okay, it's not the school that I'm talking about that we study nowadays. It's a school where I was a backbencher. Okay, backbencher kid where teachers like to call me names. It's like, you are a fool, you are an idiot, you're a third-rated, etc. You fool and you idiot. You'll never come up in life. These are the kind of words I've learned in school from the teachers, obviously. But just imagine if I was in school in this timeline, okay, being recorded, and teacher calling me like, hey, idiot, hey, etc., etc. And a timeline that's being recorded and it can be put across in social media and being reposted into etc. times. Being called again and again an idiot. Wow. I'm happy I'm not in this timeline where none of the teachers said idiot to me in a live audience. It's probably times where traditional good time schools. But moving from school, I recently got my braces, and I don't really like doctors, okay, but I don't know if dentists come in the line of doctors both. They call themselves dentists, but yeah, and I had to get my dentist appointment and etc. I was sitting on that bed, which I was lying down, and I didn't like that metal things in my mouth, and the dentist says you have to go through it. It's a procedure. If you're young, you have to get through it. And I said, okay, let's do it. And there were 3 professionals, one the orthodontist and one assisting him. Another girl was assisting. And one of them, when they were treating me, was holding my lip. Okay, I'm like, okay, the treatment is done. I think she doesn't have to hold my lip anymore. It was quite pressurized. Like, could feel a little pressure. Like if I smile when she's holding my lip, it's going to sound bad. I'm like, let's not. I'm like, okay, I can bear a young lady holding my lip. It's fine. But in a time where a pandemic is happening and you're so conscious that, hey, somebody is touching you, you're overthinking it. And everyone's talking about geopolitics, China, and I found myself in a position where these three individuals were talking about China and the Wuhan virus, and all in Hindi. Okay, I'm South Indian, and they thought I won't know Hindi. And they started like China, Maf, he, Nai, you get it right. So, yeah, parents are pushing us to get married and all that. I'm like, all this is good. I hear it at home too. Okay, but why all this when my mouth is open was my question. And I was recently in Delhi. Okay, the people of Delhi are so wild. Okay, I was in a train to Delhi, and in Delhi, interestingly, the train journey was such that people were talking in Hindi, and I could understand Hindi, but I know Hindi, but Hindi does not know me. Okay, and in that journey of me being the train through 2 nights and 1 day, a lady sitting by me was speaking in Hindi, and she said, Bhaiya, look after your phone, that my child may throw it across the window. So I'm like, oh, is this how the journey is going to be all across to Delhi? And I reached Delhi, I felt like a celebrity. Okay, there was a line of people like, can I take your bag? I'm like, no, it's mine. I felt like a celebrity, typical railway station where people are like, can I hold your bag? Can I take your bag? And the metro journey in Delhi was quite humorous. The announcements said, this is your next station, it's opposite to so-and-so station. But comfortably, when we hear in Toastmasters of voice modulation, the announcement said, if you find a bag which is not belonging to anyone, it could be a bomb. Okay? But that lady said bomb in the sweetest tone. She like, ladies and gentlemen, if there's any bag, it could be a bomb. I'm like, can you please say bomb with such more voice modulation? It could be a bomb. Okay, I see my timer. I have my card up. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a sweet card. Nazreen.
Thank you, Shreyas. If you know that India has an official animal, official flower, but you don't have an official language, I think it's high time you learn Hindi.
Yeah.
Can we have it for Toastmaster? The next evaluator is Toastmaster Joe Spot for the third speaker. Can you please read the guidelines?
Yeah, thank you, Toastmaster Nazreen. Hello, Toastmasters and dear guests. The speech is from the presentation mastery manual pathway, and it's a level 4 project speech. The speech title is I think sorry. There's only one, and the purpose statement of the speech is, the purpose of the speech is for the member to practice the skills needed to address the audience challenges with which he or she present outside the Toastmasters Club. Over to you, Toastmasters.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Joe Spot. The speaker loves to take hot showers and be treated with a spa. Can we have on stage Toastmaster Varsha? The title of her speech is What's Here is Everywhere and What's Not Here is Nowhere. Over to you, Toastmaster Varsha.
तदन्यत्र यन्ने हस्ति न तत्र क्वचित्. यदि हस्ति तदन्यत्र यन्ने हस्ति न तत्र क्वचित्. I always wanted to read a text. I always wanted to read a text. A text where values were outbeaten by volumes. A text which included every aspect of life. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Righteousness, economy, lust and liberation. Well, I was confused and I was looking out for everything under one umbrella. There comes a monk, hands over a text to me, a humongous text of 1,00,000 verses, which included everything.
1272.
Which included everything.
1272 car. They have no parted.
All right, but it didn't include this car number.
1272 car number. Can you please announce it, sir?
It just didn't include this car number, but everything. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And there you go, the car owner. It's all yours. Please go and take off your car so that we can avoid a war like Mahabharat. With that, back to Mahabharat. Yes, I was perplexed. This was fantastic. Was this really what I was looking out for? Yes. This is a masterpiece of Indian philosophy. This is considered to be one of the finest epics that the country is named after. Any guesses? Yes, there you go. It's none other than the Mahabharata. The book introduces enormous characters, from the most heroic Bhima character to the most colorful Krishna. From the most shady Shakuni to the most misinterpreted Karna. While people were always celebrating joyous occasions in their places, they started mourning for the people they lost. People fought for no reason, without even understanding which party they belonged to, just due to political gimmicks. It was this, the Mahabharata. However, I learned that this had a fantastic takeaway. Yes, the righteousness alone prevails is what I learned after I read the complete book. I've jotted down a couple of points to share with you. Due to time constraints, let me summarize it into 4 points. The very first thing that I learned after reading Mahabharata was to not be judgmental. Even to this day, while we judge women by the kind of dress she wears, to the kind of partner she chooses. Welcome, Shreyas J. While we were talking about one of the most dynamic characters, here comes another dynamic character. Bruno, sir? Okay, he's all gone. Vivek, sir, did you have to say anything? No. Okay.
I went to say.
It is already closed.
No, somebody might come in.
I guess we have the break after a few minutes. So.
I know we have a break. So to give a break from the monotony, here I am introducing the most dynamic character, Draupadi. Let me tell you an interesting fact, Kirtana. This will keep you so engaged. You know, like I said, women these days are judged for the dresses they wear to the partner choices they make. This lady had married 5 men all at once, 5,000 years back, and yet was respected hugely. Men in the hall, please calm down. She was not respected because she had married 5 men, but she was respected because she had empowered these 5 men to win over a gigantic army which consisted of 101 men army which were politically supported. Do we have such classic examples here in our society who have transformed us? Well, yes, from Mother Teresa to Malala Yousafzai, we can see n number of them if only we can keep our eyes open. And there comes a testimony. If only we can keep our eyes open, we can see who's coming in and who's going out. With that, let me move on to my second important takeaway.
Before moving on, should women take Draupadi's inspiration and marry 5 men to empower and push away forward now? What's your take on
It's
that?
her prerogative. So although she did that, she was not disturbed. She didn't deviate from her path. So personal was always personal, but politically and professionally, she was respected to the great extent.
So it's, as long as she is not disturbed or distracted, it's okay.
It is okay.
To marry 5 men.
Yes, it is okay. 5 or 500.
Oh, wow.
It's just a number, sir.
Your priorities are right, very right.
Yes, the priorities should be right. Well, we can also take questions towards the end because I have just 2 to 3 more takeaways to share. If we all agree, can I move on? Can we have a big thumbs up? Yes. Okay. The second important takeaway that I had was that it is okay to stand alone and it is okay to not go by majority. Like I said, it's a small army that Pandavas were. Yet they fought over a gigantic army and won. It's not because of the physical strength. Many a times we'll have all the amenities. We have wealth, but we would have forgotten about our well-being. Just like how we've forgotten to latch the door. You guys agree?
Yes.
Yes. So we'll just check who's it. So welcome to our Mahabharat session. And there's nobody. Probably it was Bruno. Welcome, Bruno. Yes.
The ghost of the
So I
Mahabharata.
just, yes, probably, yes. Maybe there's one from Patulkacha army. It's so entertaining and it's so joyous to be a part of a crowd which has some knowledge about Mahabharata already. That reduces my work to great extent. So going back to my second point, yes, with that, it's important for us to have mental strength than physical strength. Do we have classic examples that we can relate to in today's era? Well, yes. Can we see huge animals tied with tiny ropes will be monitored by tiny fellows in the circus with sticks tinier than those men? That is because they don't know their strength. How often in life are we taking a step back by just not doing something that we love the most because it's not accepted by majority? Pardon? We can discuss that in the questions. I can justify as to why these were classic examples. Thirdly, I also learned that humanity comes over and above everything. Krishna, the emperor of Dwarka dynasty, was invited by great heroes. Bhishma, Duryodhana, Dronacharya. But you know what? He chose to visit Vidura's house. Vidura was the son of a mate of Hastinapur dynasty. It was a prestige issue. It was a matter of ego issue. But yet he chose to go there because that is where humanity was. It was him who had opposed humiliation of Draupadi amidst hundreds of men in the court. This also can be related to today's era. Many times we might not earn the sum that we expect. Yeah. There are several Duryodhanas everywhere, all across. But yet, we should term ourselves as Dharmarayas and proceed. And only then we'll be able to reach a certain destination. Finally, I don't want to give a fancy heading to my last takeaway because this is the most significant and the most touching. Last 2.5 to 3 years have been very tough for us. Agree?
Yes.
Maybe for a couple of ones who had their partners who made it very interesting. Yeah? Like okay, I request all of you all to give a huge round of applause to Rajdeep sir because he can make a brilliant mimicry. Sir, I'd like you to come on to the dais and imitate either Draupadi or Duryodhana once I'm done. So that can add more flavor to this. Right? Yeah. So now, with that, going back to my last point, so I'll not bother you more. You can then ask me all the interesting questions and also entertain us and educate us as to how you were occupied without getting distracted during your lockdown. Yeah, so we've all learned that a wave can take over cities. A small virus can take over the world. There are people who've lost their jobs. There are people who've lost their lives. There are people who've lost their families. Is everything in my control? I might be a doctor. I've seen a doctor crying to me, telling that my son is not getting married because he's a doctor. Probably it weren't to be Rajdeep sir to give his daughter. I'm sure the doctor wouldn't have had this problem. If only people can think like how Rajdeep sir thinks, the world would change, my dear friends. Yeah? So this is the kind of crisis we faced, right? This only indicates that we are just a speck of a dust. And there you go with one statement that my all-time inspiration says to his beloved, that is Krishna to Arjuna, which is Nimitta Matram Bhavasavya Sachin, which translates to say, you are a mere instrument through which I operate. With that, it is back to the crowd, if there are questions. Smita is in a hurry to wind it up because I know she has time constraints, but otherwise, if you do not have questions, I consider this to be closed, and thank you all for your cooperation and helping me in completing what I'm doing.
Thank you, Toastmaster Varsha, for being positive and being realistic. With this, I would take the opportunity to thank the DTM Francis Gama for the enlightening and enriching session that we had, where eagles fly and dare. This is the right place, sir, because at Bangalore Toastmasters, we dare. Don't, yes or yes?
Yes. Yes.
Loudly.
Yes.
So all the speakers at Bangalore Toastmasters are fastidious about our club. And before breaking, we go out for a break for 5 minutes. I would request you all to vote for the best speaker, and the password is BTMC. And thank you, Surekha ma'am, for the goodies that you have sent. And 5 minutes, and we'll see you back at the other end of the meeting. Thank you and enjoy the goodies. Thank you, Surekha ma'am, for your selfless love that you sent to us.
So I spoke with VP Education, so the mentors will be assigned in the later stage. So coming to the main topic, so membership in the club and in Toastmaster International is a privilege that carries out with many rewards. Yet it also places certain obligation upon you. We are a group of people brought together to do things we could not accomplish alone. So our collective obligation is to grow and improve ourselves and to share our knowledge and experience with fellow members in a spirit of enjoyment. This means you must work diligently towards your own self-development, evaluate other speeches in a spirit of support and sharing, assist the club in reaching the goals, remain positive, and keep a smile on your face. We ask our new members to dedicate yourself to personal growth, to share this great gift with your fellow members, and to help
to keep this Toastmaster Club strong and dynamic. So we can take the affirmation oath. You can keep your right hand bent. So you can repeat along with me. So you can mention your name. In the presence of my fellow members, of the Bangalore Toastmaster Club, make this firm obligation, to attend meetings regularly, and prepare fully for each assignment, to apply myself to the projects outlined in the Toastmasters education program, to participate actively in club activities, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with my fellow members, and to bring others, new members into the club, so that they can gain the benefits of Toastmasters. Thank you. You can. So would all club members please stand? Only the club members. And repeat the club pledge to these new members, to our new members. We, the members of the Bangalore Toastmaster Club, pledge to support you in your quest for self-development, to provide you with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, to give you opportunities, to help others, and to make our Toastmasters, membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So with a big round of applause, we will be welcome. So it was in 2020, in October 1st, it was a great privilege to be a prefix TM before my name. From now onwards, you are prefix Toastmaster before your name. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster George, and welcome aboard to our BTMC family, Bangalore Toastmasters family. Can we have a big round of applause for the new members? The brave hearts of BTMC can ponder whether Friday the 13th was lucky or unlucky for you. I'll leave you with this thought. You may want to watch the thriller movie Friday the 13th as it's the weekend. Today is a day full of surprises. We are jumping straight to the third segment, that is the evaluation segment. The dinner for the champions, as it's already dinner time. Now, I will give you a hint and just guess who the general evaluator is. He or she. The general evaluator, it has a hawk's vision and is dressed fastidiously with care. Any guesses?
What vision does he have?
Any guesses who the general evaluator is? Yes. Can we welcome the general evaluator? The applause should be Thank you, general evaluator, for being so supportive, and the stage is all yours with your personal evaluator and your team. Thank you so much.
all of us. We had a great meeting. So, to begin with, in military, they say feedback loops are a foundation for improvement. So just like how we had an education session on Eagles, so even in case of military, they are all disciplined and they observe a 5-step approach which is called observe, orient, decide, act and loop. So on the same lines, in Toastmasters, we have this session which is called feedback session or the evaluation session, where we are going to go over the entire meeting proceedings and look at what are the areas we did extremely well and what are the areas which will require a slight look to take our meeting levels a notch higher. To begin with, we started the meeting not on time. Like we were supposed to start at 6:20, but due to a slight adjustment in the timings and reorganization of the meeting, we started meeting at 6:30. So to begin the meeting, we had Sarikam's Chaitra, who came on stage and took the stage with her usual charm, and she was at cool and ease on the stage. She has been doing this act with a grace all this while, without disturb, and she has got used to it. Like she has been very comfortable on it. She explained all the roles and what is required from the meeting very well. So, but can we have a round of applause for that? Having said that, what can take your role a notch higher is you can experiment with various ways in which you can deliver the 3 golden rules that you tell to the audience. You can make it slightly more interesting, you can ask for some activity, make some distraction, and grab the attention and then put both the rules and regulation. And also one more addition what you can do is, like you have been knowing the president for so much time now, think about getting us an unknown aspect of the president to us and connecting it back to the thing would have been an icing on cake. But having said that, not taking away the excellent job what you have done, I congratulate you for that exceptional delivery of your role. With that, we move on to our ever gracious and ever smiling President Madam Hannah. So, what is so special about your presidential address is you bring a lot of personal touch to your presidential address. So I have been attending the meeting for past few weeks, and I see always there is a personal example and then connecting it back to the theme, which you have been doing very well all these weeks leading up to now. Having said that, what is that one element that can take your presidential address to a notch higher is, there are a lot of guests and people who are coming here for the first time. So you can welcome some of the guests by introducing them and what brings them here. That's one aspect of, as a president, what you can do slightly better. But having said that, for an exceptional presidential address and 2 great stories which we would correlate to the theme, what does Madam President Hannah do? And around with the presidential address, we had tied up the secretary minutes. Secretary has been doing her job with due diligence all this week on week, and have been giving her minutes of meeting all this while. So that was an exceptional thing, like you are detail oriented and to the point. But what is one aspect what we can add to the secretary address is you can be slightly creative. Like if I have to think about a creative ways, like we read news, there are so many news channels. So, but there are some news channels which catch our attention, like it can be super fast 200, like super fast 50, because they bring an element of surprise or quickness in whatever has been communicated, or there is some kind of question that is asked. or like you weave a story where you communicate the minutes. So if that is done, probably people can pay more attention and be attentive in the secretary minute session also. But other than that, like for exceptional thing what you have been doing all this week and have been regular and meticulous in jotting down all the points which are relevant and communicating it to the team. Like what does secretary deserve? Moving on to the first session of the meeting. First session of the meeting was, I'll reserve all the other comments to that. The first session of the meeting was prepared speech, and the first prepared speech was by Toastmaster Bruno. And to evaluate the first speech, can I call upon evaluator Toastmaster Suma?
The first speaker, Bruno sir, has presented his speech very well, and kudos to his confidence level and presentation on the side. Where one element which I noticed is in the voice modulation. The story would have been a little bit with emotional elements would have been catch the audience in that aspect. To add on to this, a smooth transition and a facial expression could have been a better element to your speech. And over to you, General Evaluator. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Suma, for being over the evaluation. So to add on to what Toastmaster Suma just told, like said, you were too good, like the midnight drama was filled with a lot of drama, and I'm sure like a lot of us were actually waiting for what is in store for the next. So there was a lot of movement, there was a lot of, it was like a thriller movie, like where people could anticipate a lot of twists and turns. And I really like the way you delivered it, like you're giving a speech after so much time, but still you have not lost the confidence for that. So having said that, your speech actually gave us to know about your thriller aspect and what are your likings. So you were bang on to the objectives of whatever was required from the speech. For that excellent speech and a great evaluation, what does the speaker and the evaluator deserve? Okay, so moving on to the second speaker. Second speaker was Toastmaster Shreyas J, and that will be evaluated by Toastmaster Raghavendra Mesri.
Good evening again, Toastmasters and dear guests. Okay, so when Rajdeep sir talks, we know we are just at ease and just listening to him. Then there is a joke, we all laugh. But when we say there is a speech with humor, there is a lot of expectations set. So what Toastmaster Shreyas J excelled at is something he smiled throughout. His body language was good, and there are some soft jokes which made us laugh here and there. But the central piece of this whole thing was humor. Probably what could have got his speech to the next level is maybe a seamless thought wherein he brings his jokes as part of the stories. What was probably humorous to him could have been conveyed well to the audience. There was a joke about his school time, and probably the audience was not able to receive it well. He could have changed the plot, maybe made it better when he attempted the joke second time. See, it is easy to be the subject of joke, but cracking a joke on the stage is, in my opinion, the toughest thing. Speech, we can deliver a serious one, easy, But I've always listened to the comedians, and they say comedy is the toughest part of the acting, where you make people laugh. And here there was a lot of expectation. He made us laugh, but there could have been more. And what I feel what I challenge him to do next is, in fact, I had this evaluation with him outside. He wanted to leave early. He came across as more humorous than he was here. So he was conscious of the fact that he was on the stage and he could not deliver his humor well. Probably forget about the audience, forget about everything. Just think about your subject. Come onto the stage and deliver it. Probably in your natural way, and it will be well received. So this is my evaluation. Thank you, and over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bruno, for that evaluation. And I truly believe it was a speech, like it was well to the objective, and we evaluated well. And for speaker and evaluator, what does both of them deserve? The third speech, titled "What is here is there everywhere and what is not here is not anywhere," will be evaluated by Toastmaster Jose.
Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, and Toastmaster Varsha in particular, I'm sure that not only the guests, I think most Toastmasters here, including myself, would have felt a lot disrupted during this third speech. It was in fact full of disruptions. You might have guessed this because the Friday the 13th effect, or possibly the speaker herself is a person who's very good at thinking out of the box. So Friday the 13th and thinking out of the box may be something very appropriate. No, but let me set the context right first, because the purpose, so let me just go back to the purpose statement of this project. It is the purpose of this project is for the member to practice the skills needed to address audience challenges which he or she presents outside of the Toastmasters Club. So what it required was the members' ability to address and diffuse challenges presented by the audience. So please don't assume that Vivek coming here and shouting out some car number, or Bruno going in and out is some whiskey effect, or other disruptions where because they did not follow the rules which the charlatans had made out. But this is a part of the project speech, and it had the approval of the speaker as well as the VPE. So I just wanted to make that clear to the audience. So it required the speaker to practice responding to these member disruptions. And the speech may have been new or previously presented, and myself as an evaluator is not required to evaluate the speech or the speech content, but how well the speaker tackled these disruptions. So that is what is required. And I must tell that as you have seen, Speaker Varsha maintained a poise and was very calm during the disruptions. And she's of course a very well-experienced speaker, and we saw that physically, I mean, even in her expressions, it was seamless. So these disruptions did not affect her. And when Toastmaster Shashank had a lot of questions, she calmly just told him that we'll have questions towards the end. I think that was very well done. And even she was very oblivious of the persons moving around the hall. So I think that was very, very well done. Now, a couple of suggestions that I had is when Toastmaster Vivek was calling out the car number, Toastmaster Varsha had something to say and the audience was totally confused. So possibly Varsha should have just asked, okay, Toastmaster Vivek, what do you have to say now? And given the attention there, and then after that come back rather than speak in between. That is one. And when Toastmaster Kaushal's phone was ringing, that was a planned disruption meanwhile. Maybe she could have
told in the first instance is itself that I can give you 2 seconds to just put your phone on silent mode. That may have helped avoid any of such disruptions. That's it that I have suggestions, but otherwise I think it was a brilliant one, and there is though she spoke about the takeaway from Mahabharata, there was a big takeaway for me, because I was expecting a break after the education session and that was not there. I myself got a lot disrupted, and I think this was a good takeaway and how to cope up with disruptions. It's a great lesson. Thank you, Toastmaster Varsha, and over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Joseph, for that evaluation, like this evaluation, where you actually really mentioned like how disruption can be actually so much confusing if not actually planned well. So, for that wonderful speech and a great evaluation, what does both the speaker and the evaluator deserve? With that, let's move on to the tag team. Let me call upon the timer Toastmaster Kaushal for his timing report.
Meeting started at 6:29 p.m. and then the first speaker Bruno spoke for 7 minutes and 26 seconds. Second speaker Shreyas spoke for 7 minutes and 56 seconds. Third speaker Varsha spoke for 12 minutes and 4 seconds. And evaluator 1 Suma spoke for 30 seconds. Second evaluator Raghavendra spoke for 2 minutes. And third evaluator Joseph spoke for 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Over to you.
Our going to report by Toastmasters session.
Good evening again, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm here to present my report. To begin with, Toastmaster Hannah had 4 hours, Nazreen had 3 hours, and clutch words were and the repeat words. Toastmaster Sitaram and Bruno had a couple of hours. Shreyas, even though his team was titled in hours, or whatever, he had a very good number of hours, and okay and there is clutch words. There were too many used. Joseph in his short sprint, Toastmaster Joseph in his short stint here had 7 to 8 hours. Varsha had 1 so, I had 1 hour just now. And Varsha used the word yes quite often. Not relevant though. George used the word so frequently in his short stint here. And to evaluate the general evaluator, he had quite a number of hours and 4 so's. That's my report. Over to the general evaluator.
So, just before the grammarian comes, like there's a voting link that is shared on WhatsApp for best speaker and evaluator. The voting code is BTNC. Please do your voting. With that, let's move to the grammarian report.
The meeting had many good usages, like struck a chord, said what she said, shady Shakuni interested me, thinking out of the box, address and diffuse. And our educational speaker, Toastmaster Francis Gama, had 5 interesting points. Eagles fly high, eagles have a great vision, display great confidence, takes care, is resilient, and he connected it well with leaders. And word of the day fastidious was used by a TM twice. Both used in
With that, let's move on to the listener. Listener Toastmaster.
As a listener, I have a few questions. First one being, expand the abbreviation FEAR. Toastmaster TM Francis Gama had mentioned that an eagle can give an ad from a certain height. What was that?
10,000.
And what was the name of Toastmaster Bruno's friend? And what time did Toastmaster Bruno and his friend Nagaraj reach the Kalyan?
4 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you, faculty, for this evaluation. With that, let's move on to the evaluation of the Toastmaster of the day. Creative, indeed, I should say the entire experience of the Toastmaster of the day was creative, indeed, right from the time. I was really confused when the lights were taken off. I thought there's a power cut, but then I got to know that it's a plot of the entire Friday the May 13th. So, having said that, you were bang on with the idea, creative, and you ticked all the typical Toastmaster of the day areas with the checkbox, with the green check. Having said that, you brought in the plot on how a particular theme can be connected to the current day very well. So there was a horror aspect, the theme was introduced very well, you introduced the different sessions of a typical Toastmaster meeting very well, and you were very cordial in introducing the different speakers on stage, and there were some connectors as well which you used so that there's a continuity between one speaker to another. Having said that, one of the few aspects which can be looked into is use of words like slangs like trap and all of these can be slightly avoided, which can actually take a speech to the next level. One more aspect that can be considered is pace of your talk. Usually the pace is very important, but when it becomes too slow, the meaning will not get communicated at the right way it has to. So if it is too slow between each words, sometimes it does not convey the right meaning, or the meaning gets lost. So that can be looked into. But having said that, for a very fantastic role execution and a great delivery of the Toastmaster of the day, what does the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Having said that, it was a very great meeting. Before I hand over, if there are 3 things what I can recommend the committee or the VP to look into any of the conducting of the meeting is first and the foremost, when we allocate the evaluators to speakers, have a view on which speaker is evaluated by whom, so that the feedbacks are in the right proportion and the right thing is delivered. So that can be one of the aspects that can be kept into. And the second aspect is sticking to agenda. If there is a change in agenda, it needs to be communicated for the people who come in at the right time, so that people's time is equally stick to. And the third is, in case of when we are having some special speeches like disruptive meeting, the people who have to disrupt are aware and the objective is clearly stated, so it does not feel chaotic for people who are not really known. So that can be slightly done. Having said that, I would like to, before I hand over back to the President of the day, I would like to say that good things come to those who believe in it. Better things come to those who are patient. And the best things come to those who never ever give up. With that, back to the President.
Thank you, General Evaluator, for being the Toastmaster of the day and serving you for this evening. Thank you to the Braveheart audience and guests. Can we have a round of applause? I now hand over the baton to the President. The voting link has been shared. Kindly vote for the best role takers. Thank you so much.
Toastmaster Nazni. While I wait for the results, a few announcements to be made. The second speechcraft will start in the third week of May. And I'd like to also take this opportunity to once again welcome all the newcomers to the club. And one feedback and one earnest request I have from all the members is that when you all come on the stage, please give it your best shot. The prepared speakers, I have found that one of them wasn't prepared at all. It is very essential that we respect each other's time. Okay, so as you all start, I am requesting all the Toastmasters, the members especially, when you come on stage, any role you take, please give it your best. It doesn't matter if it doesn't go all right, that's different. But then don't come unprepared on the stage, because it is a platform, we have paid our money, we have given our time, and I think we might as well respect that. Yeah, I was quite, honestly, I was quite upset that we didn't have a great meeting, honestly. I mean, I somehow felt so that every meeting we attend, I've always been proud that we do take home something great every meeting. And I found that since people were unprepared for this meeting, I found it quite, and Shreyas not being there, I don't see Varsha as well. So please give it that respect. It is a meeting which we organize and you're a part of it. And I request all of you to please respect the platform more than anything else. Yeah. I'll go ahead with the awards. The Best Evaluator Award goes to Toastmaster Jose Paul. Because she's not here, that it goes to Toastmaster Varsha. The Best Role Taker Award goes to Toastmaster Nazni Begum. The Best Role Taker Award also goes to Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundri. The Best Adult Team Player Award goes to Toastmaster Smita Roshi. Thank you all, and I didn't get a chance to point out the guests who have come here for the first time. If you can please stand up, just mention your name and yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Kritik.
Sorry, you?
Kritik.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah.
Sarah, okay, great. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Yes. So thank you all for your time and see you next week at 6:30. Thank you.